Welcome one, welcome all to the Snail Trail 4x4 podcast. If you like going off-roading in Toyotas, wrenching on Toyotas, camping in Toyotas, and maybe even poking a little bit of fun at Toyotas, and of course, hearing about how fantastic, I don't know, what are we talking about today?
Vintage Toyotas are.
Oh God, here comes the stout talks.
Yes.
Then we have a great podcast for you. Welcome everybody to the Snail Trail 4x4 podcast. My name is Tyler, and joining me is the future stout owner, Mr. Jimmy Jett. Mr. Future Stout Owner, how are you?
I am doing very well. Thanks for asking. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well.
Good.
Did you buy a stout?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
I really want one though, especially after seeing one this weekend.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a little bit here. We got some fun stuff in today's episode. It is Thursday for everybody. So we are kind of in the middle of October almost dead center now.
Yeah, we're pretty close.
So that means you guys only have about 2.5 weeks left to get entered for the gift box tier before we shut it down, and it's not going to be available anymore until April.
Correct. Yeah, you have until the last day of the month, October 31st, Halloween, to get to sign up on iRate 4x4 to get entered for the next opportunity to get a gift box.
Yep.
So that'll be fun for you. Also, we have a giveaway going on.
We do.
And it is for an extreme tire repair kit from
Morrflate. Woot.
Thank you.
Two.
Thank you, Morrflate.
Yeah.
Yes, twice. Two of them going out there to two lucky people in the giveaway tier and the gift box tiers. So you guys have an opportunity to win some of those, which include the tire plug kits, the Kobe valves, and the glue treads.
Some glue tread sidewall repairs. Yep.
Maybe we should also mention that the official glue tread video is coming out on Monday. Should be released on Monday. Yep, that one from Headlamp Studios that worked with glue tread. It's Studios, right? Headlamp.
I think it's Studios. I don't think it's Productions. I think it's Studios.
Headlamp Studios.
Yeah.
That worked with glue tread. They're releasing a video, and then I'm going to release a video on Snail Trail 4x4's YouTube channel as well for my side of the story, I guess. So, which includes a lot of Tyler, unfortunately.
I love it. I think both videos include a lot of Tyler, so I'm excited.
I know. It's pretty crazy. So if you had enough of Tyler, then you probably aren't going to want to watch
just skip the videos. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's good. Oh, man. No, I'm excited. We have one of the tires that we cut the sidewall off. It's hanging up here in the studio, so we'll have to get a picture of that and put it out on the IGs.
Yeah, we can do that for sure. Also, I think, let me back up a little bit. Gift boxes are probably going out today.
Nice.
Right?
Should be.
So if you're in Northern California, you might get them tomorrow, or possibly Monday. And if you're across the country, you hopefully will get them within a week or so.
Yeah.
So, that's exciting news. So those are all packaged up. I had the mini assistant down, packaging up everything, and she said that she had a lot of fun, and I'm like, wow, why? She's like, I liked hanging out with you at work. I'm like, well, we weren't at my work, but yeah, okay. I'm glad you had a lot of fun. Maybe next time you can come and hang out again.
Was it because she got to take the ride on the forklift all the way up to the ceiling?
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, or the fact
I wasn't sure if you knew about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or the fact that I was giving her candy.
Oh, maybe that too.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is she's just like Marlene?
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely.
As long as you keep her fed with candy, she's happy.
Doesn't care about anything else except for the candy.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, all those are going out today as of this, so you guys should start seeing tracking numbers coming through to your emails. And like Jimmy said, hopefully by the end of next week, everybody will have received them.
Yes.
And then we will get to go over what's in them next week.
Next week.
Yep. So let's see. What else do we... I think we have a couple of voicemails.
All right. Well, when you're pulling those up, also, I want to remind people to not forget about episode 350 questions.
That's right.
The form is down in the podcast description. You can just click on that and enter a question to any of us. We got Tyler, myself, the assistant, and the secretary that you can do pointed questions at, or you can just throw a broad question out there and then we'll all discuss it.
Yeah. I may or may not have already submitted like 2 to 5 questions.
Yeah, I'm up to like 15 by now for sure.
Nice. Oh man. So yeah, go check out the questions. It's the Google form link in the show notes here. So should be very easy to find. I think that does it for housekeeping.
Sounds good.
We have some voicemails.
Let's do it.
All right. So first one here is from one of our other sisters. So we had one of our sisters called in last week.
Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. So the other sister called in this week.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you ready?
Ready.
All right. Here we go.
Christina.
Hey, this is Chris from Woodland Wine and Whiskey. Just want to I was listening to I don't know if this is your latest episode or not, but the one where you're talking about articulated tractors or tractor 400-pound dropout third members. That's for an articulated tractor that he's talking about. You look up John Deere articulated loader, where they have a pivot point in the middle. That's kind of what he's talking about. Anyway, thought I'd help you guys out a little bit there. Anyway, Chris signing off.
He's out.
He's out. I saw one of them driving down the road the other day.
Yeah.
It was one of the street sweeper kinds.
Oh, okay.
Oh, actually, sorry, it was a front loader.
Okay.
And it was just driving down the roads, and I was walking the mini assistant to school, and I was like, "Hey, look, what did I call it?
Articulating tractor?
No, I didn't say that. I was like, hey, look, there's a tractor driving down the road or something. I forgot what I called it. And then I took the corner and I noticed that it was one of those articulating tractors. And I was like, how does it know which way to turn? Like, how does it know? Like,
so what
if
it
one's
is
driving forward, one driving, I don't know.
So what they do, the guy, I believe it was the guy with the dropout third member, wrote back after that episode. I meant to cover this on a previous episode, but there's hydraulics on the pivot. And so that's what pivots the whole tractor in the middle is the controller, the person driving has controls to work the hydraulics.
So the steering for the pivot is done by hydraulics.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, there you go.
That would have been very awkward for them to pull up to a stop sign, start to accelerate, notice which way it turns, then either have to go forward or reverse to make the turn work for them.
Yeah.
So I was confused about that.
Yep.
I never seen them work or never realized how they do work.
Yeah, I never paid attention to them either. And I grew up in ag country down in Tulare. Yep. So
it's all about hydraulics.
Yes, it is.
I think that's the answer to a lot of things.
That's a lot of life's answers is hydraulics.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How do you pluck your eyebrows? Hydraulics.
Oh yeah.
Hydraulic pullers.
I've never used one of those, but
I think a pneumatic might actually work a little bit better. You can go quicker.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was voicemail 1. Thank you, Christina, for calling in. Next one is from our Land Rover sister.
Oh.
Yeah.
Weren't they going to start a podcast?
Well, they were going to. I don't know if they ever got anything or done with that. So I think Jethro got a little busy.
Probably.
Yeah. And Donnie is just too hung up with driving boats out in the bay.
I wonder if he did it this last weekend.
I don't know. Let's see what he has to say here.
Okay.
Jimmy, your buddy Rover Don here.
What about Tyler?
Don't encourage Tyler. The radio talk is getting out of hand. The nerd's hat is spinning. You gotta keep him in check there. He's just that's out of control. Oh, and had a message from Woodland Wine and Whiskey. What was it? Toyota suck. That's all.
Yeah, I'm put a kibosh on Radio Talk. I think we're going to do like once every 50 episodes or something like that.
Something like that. And so the last one we did counts for the previous 50, so we can do another one today?
No.
Oh, come on.
Do you have Radio Talk to do?
No.
Okay, good.
I did talk to one person, and one person said, hey, that was actually pretty cool. Thanks for putting that on the podcast. Pretty much everybody else was like, yeah, I fast forwarded it.
Sure. It was interesting to hear, but I don't really need to hear it again.
You need to experience it. That's what it needs to happen,
Maybe.
Jimmy.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You need to come out to Tehama County with us next year.
I would. I'll go out there and just be belligerent.
It's great. You can be belligerent. There's axe throwing, so it's no different from drunken axe throwing at a bar in downtown Roseville.
Perfect.
So
I'm in. Go shoot some guns.
Throw some axes.
Probably not belligerent when I'm doing that, but
it's better if you're not.
Yeah.
Typically.
yeah.
So, anyways, those are the 2 voicemails.
Thanks, Christina and Donnie.
Yep. Thanks, guys, for calling in. And if you guys, anybody else wants to call in and talk about radio stuff, please do.
Or not radio stuff, you're welcome to as well.
Nope. You can always call in about radio stuff. Yep. Yep.
Maybe I need to remove the permissions of Tyler on the radio or the voicemail side.
You're just going to have to put like a shock collar on me.
That or I need access to it. So whenever I see a radio voicemail come in, I'll just delete it
real quick
before you see it.
No, Jimmy.
Or you'll go to it and be like, I swear there was a voicemail in here. Like,
you're like, nope, I don't know
what you're talking about.
Oh, man. Oh, cool. So that does it. I guess the rest of the docket today is talking about our last weekend. And I guess some other stuff. Yeah, the whole week has been going on.
During the week, and then we had an outing together over the weekend.
We did. Aren't we cute?
We did. Yes, definitely.
Okay.
So where do you want to start?
Let's start at King Kong Brewing.
What day was that?
Tuesday.
Okay. Let's start there.
Okay.
There's another meetup on King Kong Brewery coming up on the 22nd, I think.
Oh.
For Sacramento Overlanders, and they're doing a Toys and Tots, or a trunk and treat. That's what I mean.
Oh, interesting.
And so if you are an overlander or an outdoor off-roader person and you have some young kids, this might be a good opportunity in a safe environment at a brewery to go get some candy and some beer.
Yeah. That brewery is pretty cool because they have a brewery cat.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That's cool.
It just hangs out and just goes and says hi to everybody.
Nice.
And yeah. Anyways, there's a lot of really cool murals at the brewery too, which are fun to check out. Fun note is the big kind of open lot, if you're looking at the brewery from the street to the left with the fence around it.
Yeah.
That's where I did my referee for the 3-4 swap.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
And so across the street from that is the cafe that I went and hung out at that has all this automobile racing stuff in the cafe.
Okay.
And I was like, when we showed up, I was like, hey, there's the cafe. Hey, there's where I did my referee. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize this is where King Kong was.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of a unique area on that, whatever road that is.
I want to say I don't remember. I'm not even going to try. But anyways, went to King Kong Brewing because Carnalis Overland they just kind of have a group of people that get together and go do trail rides together every once in a while. And they meet up once a month at King Kong Brewing.
Cool.
And so they invited me out to do a demonstration of tire repair kits. And so we brought out some glue treads, some Colby valves, and then tire plugs as well, the whole extreme tire repair kit. And it was kind of cool. So we kind of gathered everybody around, and it was dark, so we had a couple people with their lights on their rigs pointing at me, and so I couldn't see shit. But everybody could see me just fine and see what I was doing. But it was fun. I just talking to people about, hey, here's the benefits. Here's why we've made this kit, because you don't have to carry a spare tire anymore. I can't carry a spare tire on my 4Runner, so this is really why we went for it. And I was like, how many of you guys have plugged a tire before? Every single hand went up.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, cool. So you guys know how to do that. We don't need to go over tire plugs. How many of you guys have patched a sidewall before? Nobody. I was like, how many of you guys have replaced a valve stem before? A couple hands went up. I was like, how many of you replaced a valve stem before? The Colby valve, no hands. I was like, okay, perfect. So went through, showed him how to do the tire patch kit, the sidewall, the glue treads, and used an old beater tire we have here in the warehouse I think it's going to end up turning into the demonstration tire.
That'd be funny because eventually you'll have this tire patch set up.
I'll be able to retread the tire at some point.
Sure. Yeah. It's not a bad idea.
So anyways, showed them that and then had them come around. I was like, anybody wants to come over and try and rip that off, you can. And they were coming over and nobody could rip the patch off, which was pretty funny. And a bunch of people were like, that's badass. Like, that's freaking cool. I've had to trash a tire before and put my spare on because I put a hole in the sidewall. And this means I don't have to carry the spare and I don't have to put the spare on or whatever it is. I was like, yeah, it's a pretty cool product. And then I blew all their minds away with the Colby valves because I explained what you have to do to replace a valve stem. And a couple of the guys were like, yeah, it sucks, especially if you're on a trail having to do that. And then we showed him how to put the Colby valve in. We had it in under 5 minutes.
Sure.
And everybody was like, that's freaking cool too. And so it was fun getting out there to the brewery, having some good beers, having the pizza there is fantastic.
Is it? Okay.
Oh, the pizza is amazing there. Had some pizzas and they do it in a brick oven.
Oh, so nice.
Yeah, it's really good. Did that and blew some minds.
Cool.
So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. Mr. Murphy got back to me. It's on Del Paso.
Oh, there you go.
Boulevard. Yep.
Okay.
So that's fun. That's I mean, if you have never figured out what Colby valves are or glue tread is by this point, listening to the podcast, you definitely need to check them out because they will blow your mind.
Yeah, for sure. So we did that. Let's see. Also, in the last week, I submitted a couple of articles to Forlow magazine.
Oh,
so those may be hitting Forlow magazine here shortly
for Morrflate. Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah, and then also we're gonna be on Four Wheeler.
Are you?
Yeah,
you signed up.
Yep.
Cool. That's awesome.
So that episode, I'm not sure when it's airing. I want to say it's airing in November sometime, but we're working out the details on the product shoot right now. So.
Nice.
Yeah, so I did all that kind of last week before the weekend.
Okay.
As well as continually fighting a laser, but we don't need to talk about that one.
Yeah, that one's very in-depth, very nuanced, like detail-oriented.
Yeah,
trying to figure that one out. Both, I mean, it's been you, me, and Lee going in circles.
Uh-huh. And I've been talking to other people too. A couple people that are like, they're considered professionals. They travel around the country to set up and repair people's lasers.
Oh, wow.
And they can't figure it out either.
Oh, dang.
So, anyways, we'll talk about it on our other podcast. Go find it if you guys are interested.
Good. Definitely. So before we talk about weekend adventures, what we did then, I went to and wheeled Fordyce on Wednesday.
You did?
Uh-huh. And the flow rate on the river was still a little low. It was just below 100 CFM? CFM.
It's about 100 basketballs per minute.
Yeah.
No, per second. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, that's CFS.
Whatever it was. It was crossable, but it was still...
If it's rivers, it's CFS typically.
CFS.
Yep.
But it's still deep. Like, there was a JK with us on 37s, I believe. Maybe four. No, I think it was 40s, but they're just lower in general. And in one of the river crossings, not the first river crossing, but like the second one that's sort of through an odd creek.
Is that the second one is the one where you kind of go through almost two creeks? Like there's a little bit of a separate in the middle with some reeds?
Then it was before that.
Okay.
There's another one in there where it's not even part of the main river. It's another creek going down to that one.
Okay.
He dropped off a rock and the water splashed up so high that it came in to his cab. And he didn't have doors on. So
okay.
It just, so it was deep enough that water came in on him. But both Dave and I didn't have any problems.
Toyotas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We had our doors on. But it definitely was high. I mean, it was probably, at some point it totally engulfed my 37s.
Wow.
But it wasn't flowing super fast. So I think there was just holes in the river.
Okay.
So, but it was a good day. I mean, we woke up early and met up at the grocery store and then cruised up, got our lunches there and then cruised up to the staging area at Eagle Lakes and, aired down and cruised in. I had first gen Mike with me. He just jumped in the cab. He was my wrong seat. Nothing special on the cruise in. We just bombed all the way for the most part. I think we took a little.
Did you give him the right seat kit?
Yeah, definitely. He got the right seat kit and the speech.
Nice, good.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain what's in the right seat kit?
Some Vaseline, some tampons,
some Vagisil, and a pair of gloves for using the winch.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's funny.
So I think we took our first break at the top of Sunrise Hill.
Okay.
Just drove all the way there, took a quick break, drove down to the first river crossing, hung out there, and for a little while we sat down, or we didn't sit down, but we just hung out and talked for a while. Like I said, there was Bobcat. I'll just kind of give a quick description on everything that was there. There was Bobcat. There was my buddy Dave, who has a first gen 4Runner. It's on Land FJ 80 axles and 38-inch tires.
Leaf sprung
and dual cased. Very similar setup to Bobcat, but wider axles and bigger tires, slightly. And then there was a 4-door JK on Fordyce.
Nice.
That was out with us. And then everybody had two seats filled. Everybody had a co-pilot or a wrong seat person.
Yeah.
So, I knew more or less I knew everybody that was there. So we were all talking and, we're just bullshitting down at the first river crossing. And then, we bombed all the way for the most part until Winch Hill 0.5.
Okay.
Mike and I were just sort of putting. We weren't really in a rush. We weren't trying to go fast. At some point we were a little ways behind and I started to try to catch up. And then Winch Hill 0.5 came. And by that time they were both on top.
Okay.
And so I tried to do the V.
Okay.
I came close, but I didn't make it.
Okay.
I kept sliding off.
Yeah.
I think I needed to go higher on the passenger side.
Okay.
Than I think that than I wanted to go at that time. I think if I were to try it again, I would definitely try it a little harder. But it's an interesting obstacle because you have a mount, like a solid rock sort of triangle with the apex at the top.
Okay.
Right. And then it goes down to a V and it goes up the other side. And then the rock keeps going up. So to climb this hill, you put driver's side tire climbing up towards the apex of the rock, and the passenger side tire is climbing the wall.
Yep.
up the other side of the V. And so a lot of times when I got up to the top and I started to crest, my driver tire would slide off driver's side and I'd slide down into the V.
Yeah.
And
your passenger side would slide down into the V. Yeah.
And then I'd try to realign and do it again. And I did that like 3 or 4 times. And I was like, all right, 3 and out. Let's go on. So then I went the easier or the normal route, I guess the easier route, not the buggy line.
Yeah.
But I was very impressed with the Yokohama tires.
Really?
Yeah. I aired down. I aired in the parking lot. I aired down and I was talking to Dave and he's like, that tire looks a little low. And I was like, really? I wonder what it's at. And I go back to the gauge and the gauge was off. And so I turned the valve, right? And the gauge didn't come back on. And so then I hit power and it was at 0, right?
Okay.
And it reset itself. So I was like, oh, okay, shoot. And so I unplugged all the valve cores, turned the gauge back on and off, and then it read and let all the air out and it read 0. And I plugged it all the valve on the Morrflate back together, put it all on, and it was still on and it still read 0. I was like, oh, I literally let all the air out. Like all the air is out of the tires.
Yeah.
So I was like, shoot, whoops. Okay. So then I had to pull my compressor out. I aired it back up to 8.
That's funny.
At that time.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I realized when I was airing up that my battery was going bad in the digital.
In the digital gauge?
Digital gauge on my Morrflate. So how long have I had that? Digital gauge?
It's been a while now.
I'm like probably one of the first gauges.
Yeah.
How long have you had those digital gauges? 2 years?
2.5, yeah.
So 2.5 years. And I do a lot of wheeling. So that's about your time frame for when batteries are going to go bad. If you don't wheel as much as I do, it probably will last a little longer.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to drop another, what are they, AA?
AAAs.
2 AAAs. Yeah, I'll have to drop some more batteries in there. But there's your frame of reference for when batteries are going to go bad. So, aired them up to 8. and was playing on Winch Hill 0.5, and they were sticking pretty good until I got to like pretty much vertical trying to climb that wall. And I think Mike was like, whoa, this is kind of crazy. And I'm just trying to climb it and climbing it and sliding. But he was having a good time. So
nice.
Yeah, did the other route, walked up it, no problem. Went up to Winch Hill, or then you pass those really nice spots on the river, right? And I was like, these are really cool spots. And Mike's never been on the trail before. This was his first time.
That was semi-surprising to me. Not super surprising, but kind of semi. But I was like, I mean, he was living out in the Bay Area, South Bay, essentially.
Yep.
And, most of his wheeling is out at Hollister. There's a lot of people in South Bay that just don't get up to the Sierras as much for wheeling. Right. So
yeah, and then the guy in the JK, Tony, he's wheeled from Committee down to Winch Hill 1 and from Eagle Lakes up to the first river crossing, but hasn't gone from river crossing to Winch Hill 1. So this was his first time doing that.
Okay.
And so they were having a good time. I think we pretty much bombed the whole way from 0.5 to 1. We at the bottom there in the trees, there's a few good campgrounds, and so we ate lunch there.
At the bottom of 1?
At the bottom of 1. And then we all drove up Winch Hill 1. We all three of us went up it. Bobcat got hung up, and I have yet to see the video. One of the people with us took a video of my passenger side.
Okay.
Because when you start climbing the wall in Winch Hill 1, you got to climb, hard driver. And then when you get to the apex, you turn hard passenger to kind of come over and
slide off,
boof this rock.
Yep. Boof them rocks, Jimmy.
Exactly. And, and so I think I was held up by that little curve in my rock slider. On the rock.
Again.
I think so.
You keep getting held up by that.
I haven't seen the video to actually know for sure.
Okay.
But at some point I was just on my rock slider and couldn't get the grip to pull me over.
Huh.
And because of the weird angles that I was at.
Yeah.
And I realigned a few times and tried to went higher and tried to go higher, but it wasn't working for me.
Yeah.
So at some point I got up onto Winch Hill 1. I got locked onto my rock slider again. And I don't suggest anybody do this, but Dave went down and he pushed up on my truck, and then I walked through it. That's as much as it took to get me through that little obstacle. He just lifted my rear end or rocked it a little bit, and it walked itself up.
Yeah.
And then
that's like me and Little Sluice that one time.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, this is stupid. Why can't I make it through here? And you're like, 1 second, hold on.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, pulled you down a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so once you get to the top of Winch Hill 1, it's still tricky at the top. And then there's a big FU rock that you have to go either high driver or high passenger.
Yep.
And I was lined up pretty decently for high driver, but Dave was like, everybody's gone high passenger. And I'm like, okay, I'll go that way. And so I did okay on getting my front across, but then when my rear axle got hung up, and it got hung up in this weird cradle. It was I couldn't reverse because there was literally rock behind my axle housing, and I couldn't go forward because I just didn't have grip on the ground. I had a tire literally off the ground.
Okay.
And so I was like, just pull me off of here.
Yeah.
This is stupid. I can dig a deeper hole, or we can just put a strap on it and just give me a slight tug.
I know that you're always down for strap-ons and tugs.
Absolutely. And I literally was working to try to get off first. Right?
Yeah.
So, and unfortunately for me, the Jeep was in front of me.
Okay.
Yeah. And so the Jeep backed up a little bit. We put a strap around, they didn't want to strap it to my bumper because it's not held on by a bunch of bolts. So we went around the both leaf springs and back to the Jeep.
Okay.
And then I was like, all right, I'm ready. And then the Jeep started going, and then I started going. I was off the rock, no problem. So
you let a Jeep pull you out?
No.
What? What do you mean no?
So everybody
was... Do we need to rewind this right now, Jimmy?
Everybody was laughing. And I was like, why? What's going on? And they're like, the Jeep didn't pull you. You got off the rock all by yourself.
Another thing you like to do a lot. So,
and I was like, no, it had I was stuck. It had to, it had to yank me off.
I love how you said it, and then you noticed halfway through what you're saying, and you're just like, I'm just gonna go with this anyways. Okay. So anyways, after you're looking forward to somebody yanking you off.
Yeah. And so I didn't believe it. But then one of the people there, so look, I have a video. And they showed me this video. And the Jeep started going forward. And then I started moving forward. And then there never became tension in the strap.
Oh.
Like the strap was just, it was bowed on the ground the whole entire time. And Bobcat's like, F you, I'm not getting pulled out by a Jeep, and drove out of the problem.
So that's how you get Bobcat unstuck from places. You threaten him with a Jeep?
Yeah, you tie it up to a Jeep and you threaten it, and it'll figure itself out.
That's funny.
It was so hilarious. Everybody was laughing. They're like, yeah, we didn't get pulled out by a Jeep.
Okay, that's pretty funny.
Yeah. So at that point, I asked Mike if he wanted to drive, and he said no. And I was like, okay. So
that's not what he said.
Really?
He said, I don't, maybe. And you said, it's a yes or no question.
Oh.
And that's when he said, yes or what did he say? No at that point? Or?
No. So I think maybe I'm not remembering it correctly, but I think he said not really interested at that point. And then when we came to the base of Winch Hill 2,
okay,
I said, do you want to drive? And he's like, maybe. I said, yes or no question. And then I think he said, yeah, I'll drive.
Okay, nice.
So we bombed all the way to Winch Hill 2. Then he took over. I sent him up the hard side with the shelf.
Okay, good.
And it just wasn't, the wall's too tall. It's so dug out.
Oh, geez.
And I think if he knew my rig a little better, I think it might have made it. I think I would have had to put him, I think the whole rig needed to be much more driver, way more off camber, and maybe climb the wall that the tire's smaller than, you know, but it would have been, Bobcat would have given it a shot for sure. But from there, he was able to reverse back pretty easily, went around the shelf on sort of the bypass. It's still it's not the actual bypass, but it's a route around that section.
Yeah.
And then
you're talking about up at the top of 2, right?
No, like the
bottom part of 2.
The bottom part of 2, where there's the big rocky ledges. And then you can drive around that rocky ledge by the stump.
By the tree root and the stump over there. Okay, gotcha.
Because the bypass is still on the other side where the Jeeps go. And then so he drove up, and then he drove along that rock cliff shelf and drove past that tree and drove all the way to the top.
Okay.
And then I took over driving there, and he did a great job. He wheeled fine. He said that was his first time ever wheeling in a solid axle rig.
Really?
Yeah.
That surprises me that he's never gotten to drive Beer Andes.
I guess not.
Interesting.
Maybe Beer Andy's smarter than I am.
That could be.
But, I figured he would know how to fix it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, but he did a great job. I mean,
nice.
The throw on Bobcat is so small, and it's right at the floor that's the thing that people have a hard time with, is that there's like literally no throw. As soon as it starts...
the transmission shifter.
Yeah, in the clutch. Yeah.
Oh, the clutch. Gotcha. The clutch throw.
Right. And so as soon as you let the clutch out, it's fully engaged.
Yeah.
And I love it, because if I'm ever on a funky hill and I need to just go, then there's not a lot of play in the clutch, and it works out great.
Yeah.
So it took him some time to figure that out.
Okay.
But he did fine. He did it. He wheeled smart. He wheeled good. I didn't really give him any directions up on the top section of 2, where you're climbing that around the wall and next to the tree. Okay. He turned it perfectly and drove up that section no problem, which usually I think I do a 3-point turn on. He did it fine. So good kudos to him.
Nice.
And so that from there I took over driving and drove all the way through the river crossing at Committee.
Okay.
And for the most part we bombed that as well. And then we took a quick break on the far side of Committee.
Okay.
And just got a few drinks and relaxed and hydrated ourselves. And then I let Mike, drive again, all the way for the most part out of Committee until like the Fire Road section.
By the lake?
Below the lake, but after the rocky sections.
Okay. Yeah.
Once the Fire Road starts happening and you head up to the lake, I took over there.
Okay.
And he did good. I mean, I took a few videos of the tires bending and molding, and posted a question on social media. What do you think? Should I air down more or less? And a lot of people are kind of like, you could probably air down more, but doesn't look like you absolutely need to.
Yeah.
And a few people are like, maybe you should air down more now. And then once the tires really break in, you might want to go back up to the pressure you're currently at.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of people are like, aren't you worried about your tire coming off? You don't have bead locks. And I was like, no, I do have bead locks. I have internal bead locks, locked front and inside and outside. I'm not worried about that, except for passenger front tire. Yeah. Which seems to be leaking, but yeah. So, but everything went great. Bobcat wheeled fine. Everybody had a good time. I think we got I got home at 5, I think.
Wow. That's pretty good.
Yeah. We cruised.
That's a really good time to do that stretch of Fordyce. So if you got back to your home at 5, you guys are making good pace.
Yeah. We didn't stop that often. We just kept going. Mm-hmm. You know, it was like we stopped at a few locations, and I mean, I think we stopped at Sunrise Hill, First River Crossing, Point 5, 1. We ate lunch, Committee, and we're out.
Yeah.
And when we got back to the trailer at the staging area at Eagle Lakes, Mike and I drove up the Signal Peak route.
Oh, okay.
And we drove through the 2 hard spots.
Okay.
Because he was curious if he could take his 4Runner up that.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, yeah, I think so. There's just these hard spots. And I'm like, they're not that far. And I was like, you can walk up
check
there.
them out. Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I'll go. And he did that. He walked up for a little ways when we first arrived.
Okay.
And then he came back and he's like, I'm not, it's farther than you think it is. And then I drove up and I'm like, yeah, this is farther than I think it was. But we drove all the way to that pointed rock section that is easy for me to drive over, but some other rigs can't drive over it. And then directly after that is the rocky section. And I said, that's it.
Yeah, pretty much.
And turned around there and drove all the way back. So I did all that section as well before. Okay. And then getting back at 5-ish. So
wow.
Yeah, it was a good day. It was a fun trip. It was, to have 3 capable rigs and skilled drivers, makes it quick. And, and I wasn't going fast. I wasn't trying to go fast, but we still did it in a decent amount of time.
So I saw a picture from somebody of Clifford down in the tow area parking.
Yeah.
Did you see that person?
No, I did not. We went out committee and they spent the night at committee.
Okay. So they were behind you guys.
Yeah. Nobody was there when we pulled up.
Okay.
And then they were there I guess their tow rigs were there when we came back.
Did you leave any presents on the tow rig?
I did.
Nice.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah. Marlene and I were going back and forth. She was trying to figure out why, I was like, no, we just went up to committee and then, came back. And she's like, why didn't I see you? Why weren't, how did I miss you guys on the trail?
Yeah.
Well, we went out committee. And she's like, oh. But they went from Eagle Lakes to committee, spent the night. They went up to Meadow Lake, spent the night. And then they drove all the way down the next day back to the tow rigs.
Yeah, that'd be a fun trip.
That would be a fun trip. Yeah. So, unfortunately I don't know if is Sherpa in town. Or was it just Joe and his dad? And
supposedly, I got the picture from Sherpa.
Yeah, but you never know if Sherpa was actually there.
That's true.
Maybe it was just Joe sending a photo to Sherpa,
maybe
asking if this was my rig.
Yeah, true. I don't know. I don't know if Sherpa's in town. I never got a notification that he was in town.
I know. I usually have this warning perimeter thing set up on my phone.
It's like a geofence.
Exactly.
We have a
what's it called when you go to the cops and say that person can't come close to me?
A restraining order?
Yeah. My phone has a restraining order against Sherpa.
Oh, I thought it was just because of that GPS anklet he has.
That also. I'm not allowed to be close to those people.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense when there's a guy that, likes to play and send balls to people. So,
yes.
Yeah. Anyways, Wednesday sounds a lot of fun. I was bummed that I missed the trip. It was what it was.
Yeah.
Kermit's not going to go do Fordyce right now.
No, you still have a cracked frame.
Yes, I do. Yeah, but I did get to swap out lower control arms for a Subaru that night, Wednesday night.
Why?
because some guy blew out his lower control arms on his Subaru and then decided to replace them with stock control arms. And I was like, we're going through all this trouble to swap out your lower control arms and they're just stock. Like, why aren't you upgrading these right now? And
he blew them out, but is replacing them with the stock one. Like, he had stock ones and he's replacing them with another set of stock ones.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm like, all right, man, you do you.
Yeah.
So we did that on Wednesday night with Dylan.
Yes.
So that was fun. We struggled hard with the passenger side, and then finally, with both of us sitting there next to each other side by side, looking at it for about 20 minutes, we figured it out. So we did that Wednesday, and then from there it was the rest of my week and weekend was more just troubleshooting the overheating issues in Kermit.
Okay.
So we've talked a little bit about it in the past, where it just starts kind of just gradually increasing temperature when I'm on the highway. And
only on the highway.
Only on the highway. Rock crawling, city speeds, idling, it all stays perfectly fine around, it was staying around 195 to 200 before. So I swapped out the thermostat for 180 degree instead of a 190 and put the jiggle valve back to the 12 o'clock position just to make sure that it was fully getting bled properly. And then ran around again. I ran out to Woodland the night before the vintage truck meetup.
Okay.
To test the thermostat, right?
Sure.
And bring it back. And it was still overheating. So the ECU, it's really weird. The ECU likes to read 230, 235 degrees at the temp sensor, the coolant temp sensor, which is on the front side of the top of the block between the V. And then the gauge sender is on the back side of the block out near the coolant lines that come out to go into the cab for the radiator, for the heater core. And so the gauge reads right about halfway between middle and red line at 238 degrees.
Okay.
And the ECU is reading 238. The gauge is right about this halfway point between halfway and 3/4 of the way. But when I go out and infrared, the engine, infrared, the housing the coolant housing coming out of the top of the block where the coolant temp sensor is, the upper radiator hose, lower radiator hose, everything is infrared gunning great.
Okay.
And so I'm like,
what is great?
195 to 200 coming out of the upper radiator into the radiator hose, and then 200, 205 is what the fan thermometer is reading.
Interesting.
And the lower radiator hose is reading like 155 to 160. So I'm like, the radiator's cooling down. I don't understand why it's getting that hot. The ECU is reading that hot. And so I ended up changing out the coolant temp sensor, the thermostat. I ended up putting in a new radiator, a 3-core aluminum radiator instead of a 2-core aluminum. And then I also swapped out my fan because I figured the Black Magic fan that I have, it pulls like 3,600 CFM, which is quite a bit. A stock fan pulls 45 to 5,000. So a stock fan is still more CFM it's going to pull. But the Black Magic fan from Flexolite is a great fan, but the shroud had a bunch of gaps in it. It didn't fit perfectly to the radiator. So I was like, maybe I'm just not getting good flow through the radiator because of these gaps. So I got with the new radiator, I got a fan and shroud that fit perfectly on it. So there's no gaps whatsoever. But the shroud and the fan are like right there next to the radiator.
Okay.
And so I sent a couple pictures to a few different people, reached out to the Facebook group, and like overwhelmingly everybody on Facebook's like, you're running a stupid setup. Electric fans never work, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you guys don't pay enough attention to racing and hot rod scenes because that's all they use. So if it works for them, they're putting way more performance on their engines than I am. It should work. There's no reason why an electric fan can't work. And so somebody else, there were two good comments that kind of caught my attention. One was essentially the fan, by spinning at whatever it is, because it was I had a 2600 CFM fan that I got with the radiator, which is a lower flow than the Flexolite fan, but a better shroud. Okay. So I was hoping that would make up the difference, right? Apparently, with electric fans going at highway speed, you're going to push more airflow through the radiator just from driving at highway speed than an electric fan can pull through the radiator.
Oh, interesting.
And so with the fan blades spinning at full speed, it actually inhibits the airflow through the radiator.
It acts as a dam.
It acts as a dam, exactly.
Interesting, okay.
And so somebody said your shroud, because it's a full metal shroud and it's right up there on the radiator almost, you have this dam, this cavitation of airflow happening at your fan. And it just air cannot make it through the radiator because you're creating this air pocket at the back side of the radiator. I was like, that's an interesting theory. So apparently the way hot rods have fixed this problem is they put holes in their shrouds and then they cover them with rubber flaps.
Oh.
So that at low airflow, the fan pulls all the air through the radiator, but at high airflow down the freeway, those flaps get pushed back and open up due to the airflow.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So it allows airflow to go through there, and you don't have this cavitation, this pocket effect, right? And so I was like, that's an interesting thought. So how do I test to see if this is what's happening or not?
Right. You drive without a fan.
You drive without a fan. I'm like, I don't know if I can make it to the freeway from my house before overheating without a fan. So what I did was I got some of those, the plastic things you just stick through your radiator to hold a fan onto the radiator. I was like, I'll just put these on temporarily and then go run around for a few days and see if it overheats at all anymore. And after I did that, the engine has not gotten over 198 according to the ECU so far.
Oh, okay.
Granted, though, I haven't gone on like a 20 to 30 minute highway drive yet. The most I've done at one time on the highway was about 10 to 12 minutes so far.
So we haven't done a complete test.
We haven't done a complete test, but it's already running 10 to 13 degrees cooler according to the ECU than what it used to run on that same drive pattern.
I wonder if that's why like factories don't have a lot of shrouds.
I think that's why. I think a lot of the factories just have shrouds to make sure, because if you look at a factory shroud, it doesn't like encompass the radiator. No. It just comes straight back to the engine block pretty much.
Kind of. And there's usually a gap around the radiator and the shroud.
And I'm guessing that's why, because at highway speeds, you're going to push more air through the radiator than fans can pull through the radiator.
Yeah.
So anyways, so far, I think I'm crossing my fingers that I think it's solved. But at the same time, I also welded up the cracks in my exhaust. And I had that one, it was about 8 inches long on the inside of the pipe.
Okay.
Once I got the exhaust pulled off, I had a matching one on the other side of the exhaust pipe.
Oh, dang.
So just from when they bent the tube at the exhaust shop, that's where that crack is showing up in the stress point of the tube bend. So I welded those up, put it back on, and I can't imagine the exhaust leak would have that big of an impact on the engine temperature, because if the engine was raising in temperature, that would mean that it would be running lean, but exhaust leaks usually make you run rich. So it should have been running cooler with an exhaust leak, but
I don't know.
Anyways, so far it's running great. And now I'm looking at trying to make the Rubicon run in a couple week and a half.
Yeah. You might go out here tonight and possibly try to weld up some of the frame. Yeah,
I'll just do some patch welds and see if it holds. I'm just going into Spider Lake and then back out. So I'm not doing the quote unquote hard parts of the Rubicon, in my opinion. But still, I'm like, I don't know if I should be doing this. And I talked to John, welder John. He goes, no, it's fine. He goes, I kept my CJ all together last year by just patch welding the frame for a whole season just to get me through the season. I was like, oh, I never knew that, John. So he said patch welds will work. Just drill a hole at the ends of the cracks and then weld up the hole and then weld up the crack, and it'll hold just fine for a weekend. No problem as a patch weld. And then I think the Rubicon run is going to be my last run before I take the rig under now, because I got a bunch of parts in.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's exciting news.
Yeah. So do we want to talk about parts right now, or do we want to talk about the truck meetup?
Let's talk about the truck meetup.
Okay.
And then let's maybe save parts for a final discussion of, or maybe not final, but a discussion of all the parts you got in, what you're doing, when the what suspension's happening, when is the rig going to get worked on.
Yeah.
And like sort of encompass that all together.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So truck meetup. What was it? It's Toyota Vintage Trucks.
Yep. Put on an event, the Nor-Cal ToyotaFest. Truck Fest.
It was Nor-Cal Toyota Truck Fest, I think.
That sounds right. And it was out here in Woodland, California, which is sort of out by Davis if you're not in the area, but you might know Davis. It was an hour from my house, probably half an hour from your house.
Yeah, about 20 minutes, 25 maybe.
All heading... Northwest?
Yeah, west, northwest.
Somewhere in there.
Up I-5 past the airport.
Correct. And it was they called it the first annual, and I called it a first annual, and then people made fun of me saying it can't be an annual, it's the first.
Yeah.
So it was the inaugural meetup. The first one ever to happen. It sounds like they're going to run...
Inaugural annual meetup?
The inaugural annual meetup.
Okay.
First inaugural annual meetup. But it sounds like they already have plans in the works for number 2, and number 2 is going to be even larger.
Number 2s are typically larger. Sorry.
Take you anywhere.
I'm blaming you. You got me in this frame of mind from all your yanking earlier.
So the second event, he was saying he's going to rent out the entire fairgrounds.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
And he wants to have like a swap meet. He wants to have the car show. He wants to have some like articulating trucks out in the middle of nowhere, somewhere on the fairgrounds. And
he wants to have a kids area,
an RC course. Yeah. He has some very large ideas.
Yes, I agree.
So we'll see what happens, how it happens. But I'm excited. It was fun. I had a good time.
I had a great time. Yeah.
I was out there in Charlotte was selling some panels. We had a Snail Armor booth. We had a Morrflate booth right next to us. We had the Mox Motors. Thank you.
Yep.
Guys next to us, and then Tacoma Powered next to him, and Stellar Built was there down at the far end. And who else was there? 22 RE Performance.
Yep.
There was a few other groups, clubs that were out, and yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I thought for the first annual, it was a good turnout.
Yeah, I agree. It was kind of cool. Being there was a little bit of confusion at the beginning because Marlon didn't show up, and he had like 3 or 4 spaces reserved.
Right.
So thank you, Marlon, for not coming because we got to take over your spots.
Yeah, we got to spread out a little bit.
Yep. But I thought it was a lot of fun. They had music going the whole time. The food trucks that were there were fantastic. Some really good food. They had a big raffle going on. They had the car show part of it, so people could enter their vehicles into the car show, and they had different categories for each.
Yeah, they had a bunch of categories.
Yeah,
from SUVs to trucks to cars to old to modern to new. You know, I think seemed like every genre of truck and 4Runner. You know, it's like here's the winner for first gen 4Runners. Here's the winners for second gen 4Runners, and you know all the generations were recognized.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I like the way that it was held. I like the format that it was held in. So yeah, kudos to Rick for pulling that off and having to pull a couple of audibles in the morning along the way there.
Yep.
But he pulled it off, made it work great. My only complaint was that it was hot.
It was hot.
It was 95 that day.
Rick had no control over that, though.
Come on. Are you kidding me? Yes, he does.
I guess there's also there wasn't much shade.
There wasn't a whole lot of shade. You had to bring your own, which we did. You and I both had pop-ups, but like, I don't get why I just get destroyed by heat.
I don't know either.
Like as soon as like in the middle of the day, I just completely checked out. Like I was not paying attention to anything people were saying, and I was like, I need to sit down for a while and just relax.
Yeah.
So I don't understand it. I still don't get it, but it was really hot, and I'm glad I had MF or Ryan there to talk to everybody, because I mentally just checked out and I couldn't get back in it. So
yeah, and we were quite busy in the morning. It seems like almost all my sales happened in the morning. Yeah, like in the first hour and a half. And then I don't think I made a sale until like at the very end of the day when, you know, people were closing up shop. I had one person come and buy a panel. And so there was a good chunk of the day there where I, in the afternoon where I just left the booth and went and walked around and checked out a bunch of the rigs.
Nice.
And there was everything, man. There was like lowered, trucks to raised trucks to old, FJ40s, FJ55s, FJ60s, 80s, and up. And I mean, Stellar Built had the 200 series out there, and
Moscow Mule.
Yeah, there was some super old trucks. There was the Toyota Stout, which I fell in love with. That was slammed. It looked so good.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of really interesting, unique builds and interesting vehicles that you don't see every day, which was really kind of cool to check out, and to see that there was like 4 or 5 extremely lowered like first gen Tacomas, pickups out there that in the out in this show area. It's like that genre is not something that I affiliate with or know much about, and so it's kind of interesting to walk around and talk to them and see their rig and figure out, how did you lower this? How did you notch the frame? Because some of the fabrication in off-roading and how to raise your vehicle totally applies
100%.
to the same thing, but lowering your vehicle. Like they're notching their frame out where we're, hacking up other things, but we still have to put it all together. And it's like, how do you brace it? How do you, make it work? It's kind of fun to talk to these guys that have the same sort of fabrication mind that you do, but are doing a completely opposite or different build.
Yeah. 100% different applications. Yeah. I never got a chance to go around and look at all the vehicles. Cause I was like, I need to stay in the shade.
Yeah.
But, there was a few that caught my eye from the booth there. One of them was the first gen Tacoma on like the 43-inch TSLs.
Yeah.
He was pretty damn low for 43s.
The first gen, it was a quad cab too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. He was super low. I didn't dig under his rig very much.
That one I wanted to go over and check out.
Yeah, he had a global sticker on his his rig.
Yeah, and then the other one was the second gen 4Runner from WFO.
That was right behind us.
That was right behind us.
That was a pretty sweet build.
So looking at that one, I was like, see, he's about 4 inches lower than what I would want to go. But it looked really good, and I really liked the width that he was at. I never went over and asked him what his track width was or what he measured out at, but he was on full tons, 14 bolt and F250 in the front. So I was like, that's about how wide I'm going to be. I'm going to be maybe a couple inches wider, but I was like, that looks good. That's what I'm going for.
It was super wide. It looked really good too. Looked good low.
I mean, it looked good low, but I don't know how it would function low for what I would want to use it for.
Yeah. You say that. I was talking to Hussman this weekend too, or on Monday.
That's dangerous.
And he said his belly height when he's aired down and he's he loaded up with his rigs, and everything, and ready to hit the trail, his belly height is 15 inches.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But he's also boat sided.
True.
Yeah. So, when you're boat sided, then your effective height of what really is going to be hitting rocks is
smaller.
It's a lot taller.
Well, but his belly pan is narrower.
True. Yeah.
So, but it's still, it's crazy low.
I agree.
It's nuts. So
I think his buggy's too low in my opinion.
Yeah. But he doesn't get hung up. He doesn't get, he goes over the rocks. He has to find the high line.
Because he's boat-sided, he can get over stuff.
No, he gets over stuff. That helps. It helps on the drop of the descent off of a rock.
He had to get winched downhill off of a rock in Big Sluice.
It's because he was going a gnarly line. Because he literally caught himself between the biggest rock in there and then the other rock. And he probably would have made it. Well, I think he would have made it if he went higher.
Yeah.
Because he turtled himself. He came down on a rock and literally got stuck. He got stuck between his boat sides.
Yeah, true. That's right. So, I don't know. I think that there's a sweet spot. I definitely think I'm at the limit of the high end of what I want to be, but I never ever want a full bodied vehicle that low is what Hussman is.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't know what It'd be interesting to find out what the majority of JK owners are at, because they are the JL owners they're low,
and JLs are even lower than JKs are.
Are they?
The frame rails are. Yeah,
they're crazy.
Yeah, I remember out on Slick Rock with a Power Tank, they had the JL out there on 40s.
Yep.
And I was out there in the first gen on 36s, and I was clearing stuff on 36s that they were getting hung up on in high center.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, it's fun talking about, what do you do with a vehicle? What do you want to use your applications for?
Right.
So anyways, yeah, the event was fun. I really liked everything that was going on. I think that the ideas he's planning for in the future are going to be really interesting to see implemented. I'm going to be curious if he's going to be able to implement them though.
Yeah, I'm curious if he's going to be able to pull it off.
Yeah, he's going to need a lot more help putting those together.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And he needs to work on his communication skills.
Yes.
Pawning things off to his son to wait till his son arrives so that his son can send emails isn't going to work long time.
Yeah, he's got to get a smartphone. He still has a flip phone. So he's still got to get a smartphone, and he's got to learn how to do emails.
Yeah. But I thought it was a great turnout. It was a lot of fun. The food truck there was good. My only negative was that we were like almost literally directly across from the DJ. And the vendors across from the DJ trying to talk to customers.
Yeah.
I was yelling all day.
Yep.
And my throat was sore that evening and the next day just because I was having to yell so much.
That's a really good point. Yeah. It's never a good idea to put the DJ right there with the speakers facing the vendors 20 feet away.
Right. And I'm not quite sure if you want to, put the vendors on the complete opposite side, but maybe switch, like put the vendors next to the fence.
Yeah.
And put the DJ
in the next
where we were, and then have the speakers facing the other way into the crowd or into the truck lot where everybody was walking around looking at trucks, not having to talk about a product that you're trying to sell.
Yeah, that would be a good
thing. When they did the awards, they could turn the speakers around.
Yeah.
Or they leave them that way and have the stage facing the other way. I don't know. So yeah, that was my only negative. My major negative was I had to yell a lot.
Yes.
Just to communicate.
Yeah. So cool. Toyota Vintage Trucks. Thank you for putting on an event. What I really liked about this event was that it was done in the fall. The summer gets packed full of events and you're always like, oh God, which one do I go to?
Yeah,
kind of
absolutely.
And so there's not really that many events in October, which is kind of cool. If we can get this one set up in October as a solidified thing to look forward to in October, I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. So I thought typically weather's cooler too. Not this year for some odd reason.
Yeah, it was weird.
But if the trend goes as it's going, we can probably expect Octobers to be slightly warmer and have no rain. So that would be a perfect time to do it.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. Anything else? Any other fun activities you got into?
So there was a 1967 Toyota Stout there.
Oh, now we're going to talk about the Stout. Okay.
It was just so cool. It was slammed. It was on, he had airbags on it, front and rear. It was a 1993 two-wheel drive Toyota pickup, engine, trans, and frame. And then he put the Scout body onto it.
Okay. Wow.
And then chopped the frame and made it so that he could slam it and go all the way down.
I thought, and I really wish once he had said how it was set up, I wish I'd gone over and looked at it, but he had closed his door in the bed.
Yeah.
But the rear suspension was a cantilevered airbag suspension.
Yep.
I was like, I want to go check that out.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really interesting. So I think the airbags pushed the cantilever, and that's what raised the vehicle up.
Raised or lowered it, yeah.
It was pretty wild. And it was cool. I mean, it was an old, patinaed red Stout. It was rad.
Yeah.
That's a Toyota Stout.
Yeah, S-T-O-U-T.
S-T-O-U-T, not an international Scout.
Correct.
For all those that are confused. There's in I think it was like 66, 67, and 68. It was only 3 years, and I think those were, or maybe it moved one way or the other. But only 3 years they imported the Stout. And so this was a 1967.
Were those the first trucks, pickups that Toyota had in the United States?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know of any other.
Unless you count the
older
45,
ones.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I'll go with a yes until somebody proves me wrong.
There we go.
I bet the Hiluxes were in the States for a while, but I don't remember any earlier than like 74 or 73.
Yeah, I was going to say 73 was my guess on those.
So but it might be.
Anyways, so did you buy it off him?
No, it wasn't for sale. But it really, really pushed me.
Did you chloroform him and steal it?
No.
Okay.
I should have.
Lock him in one of the porta potties and run off.
I'm having a really hard internal debate with the Toyota Stout because it looks really good lowered.
Okay.
And that's not my MO.
No.
I'm not a type of person that would lower a vehicle.
Especially a truck. Trucks aren't supposed to be lowered.
Yeah, especially a truck. But it looks good. It looks really good lowered. And I'm like, man, it would look good raised too, but it looks good lowered. So maybe mini truck Jimmy. Hashtag mini lowered mini truck Jimmy.
Slam Jimmy.
Slam Jimmy.
Jimmy slammed.
Yeah, something like I don't know.
Oh man. So does Valley Hybrid still have their stouts then? Oh, okay.
Maybe not for much longer. I need to talk to Dimitri about a few things.
Yeah. Well, you're going there today, right?
I am. Yep. Nice. After we record, I'm going to head over there. I handed him my high pinion e-locker so we could swap the gears in it.
Nice. I'm going there tomorrow. So, you forgot to mention that we picked up a new influencer for the podcast.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the event out in Woodland, Justin, who's Aussie, was totally repping all the Snail Trail 4x4 stuff.
Yeah, it was funny. Like, we gave him one koozie and a Coors Light, and that's all it took for him to rip all the Wheeling Wine and Whiskey stickers off, throw away his Wheeling Wine and Whiskey koozie. It was really impressive. I was kind of like, man, how are they treating you over there?
It must be shit.
Do you need to be like Lorenzo?
They never gave him a koozie.
I know, right?
I think his body panels are even aluminum, so they don't even stick to it.
Right.
But yeah, he was like asking me for all the swag. He's like, "Oh man, you're gonna give me a sweater? You're gonna give me a shirt? You give me a koozie? Like, I'm totally like, I'm gonna re-wrap my truck in snail armor stuff."
Right. And he was talking about wrapping the buggy in black and yellow. Yeah. Like I was like, hey, this is cool, man. I like it. I dig it. And he was all for it. And he just couldn't stop saying how much, Wheeling Wines and Whiskey guys were just sucked.
Yeah.
And how they weren't really being nice to him. So
no. They never go and visit him. No. They never talk to him. Yeah, I know.
They just mention him every couple of times in the podcast just to give him the glimmer of hope of going and visiting, hanging out with him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, Justin, we got your back, buddy.
Yeah, we like you.
Yeah. So anyways, I'm going over there tomorrow to say hi to Justin.
Oh, nice.
and Ryan.
Yeah. That's nice. Good.
Ryan, and maybe we'll see if we can get Rob to come out. We'll say hi to Jesse. And then our goal is to see if we can lock Dimitri in his office.
I did see a picture of you doing some customer service work or something over there.
Yeah, I was sitting down to try and find some wheels.
Oh.
So Rob just brought up the wheels website and goes, here you go, take over the computer, look and see what we have access to. I was like, okay, so I started looking through, and then I got a call from my payroll company from Morrflate because that's been a big fiasco. So like, I was just like pissed and getting aggravated, and Dimitri started taking pictures of me. I was like, what are you doing?
That's funny.
Yeah.
Dima's funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a good week. We did a lot of things. I've got some more things in store. I did have a good discussion with Husman in regards to Samantha, and I think I might know how I'm going to move forward with that. But
nice,
we'll see. Might also have another discussion out on the table, and Samantha might be ever so slightly changing the game plan of.
Kermit's changing again.
Yeah. But we'll know more about that in the future, so we can't let the cat out of the bag on that one yet.
Ultra Ford Jones just turned off the podcast and ran away. So.
Probably.
Yeah. It's okay because we're at the end now. So.
Yeah.
Joke's on you. Made it to the end. We have some fun, I think some fun news coming through for everybody here shortly. So we just need to work out the details of it, and then we'll let you guys know. And be on the lookout for Monday is the Glue Tread video on the Rubicon. Glue Tread Rubicon video. October 17th, Monday, it'll be launching. So pay attention to social media, YouTube, Glue Tread website. We'll probably put it up on our Morrflate website. So
yeah, the Snail Trail 4x4 video will come out, and then the good video from Simon from Headlight Studios is going to be coming out.
Nice.
Because already, man, I know that teaser he created,
so good.
It blew me out of the water. Like, I'm like, my video sucks balls.
You're like I'm not even going to release a video now.
I don't even feel like I should. Like, my only opportunity is to release it before they release theirs so that I might get some views.
There you go. Oh, that's funny.
But I can't wait to watch Simon's video.
It's going to be fantastic.
It's going to be so good.
I haven't asked him how long it is yet.
Mine's around 20 minutes.
Yours is 20. Jeez.
Maybe just short.
Wow.
I'm sitting right now about 20 minutes, but I got to do a bit of editing at the start.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That means his will be like a full featured hour and a half long.
Maybe.
Oh, that's funny. Anyways, well, cool. Everybody keep an eye out for that. We got a fun interview coming into your ear holes Monday. And then we'll get to be talking about gift boxes here pretty shortly, I think. So pay attention. Keep everything ready. Keep everything listening. Keep everybody listening. That's what I'm looking for. Thank you for the help, Jimmy.
You're welcome.
And we'll keep pumping out some fun content for your listening pleasure, all the ear holes out there. If you guys want to get a hold of us or write in some comments or call in to make fun of Christina over at Willing Wine and Whiskey, you can always do that at 916-345-4744. And you can get a hold of us on the grams. You guys know where those are. We've got email addresses as well that you should know by now. And that's all I got. Jimmy, do you got any final words for everybody?
Toyota Stouts rule.
And with that, my friends, keep crawling. You have a anticipatory look on your face there, buddy.
I got one for you.
Okay.
Why did the ghost quit studying?
I don't know. Why?
Because he was too ghoul for school.
Okay.
No?
No.
Where do ghosts buy their food?
I don't know. Where do ghosts buy their food, Jimmy?
At the ghostery store.
So that one's better.
Okay.
That one's better than the ghoul school.